Beautiful fall weekend. David and I are here with you here today, and we've got a great show for you today because, you know, if you look outside, I was up in our office window, I'm looking over, and the trees are just gorgeous.
Yeah, it's spectacular. I mean, this really is my favorite time of year. I mean, for me, I love the weather, you know, the cool temperatures, it's crisp, it's clear. This is just my time of year. It's just that it goes too quickly.
I know it does. And what a difference. We were on the skyline last week, and it wasn't so pretty. This week, pictures I'm seeing are just 180-degree difference.
Absolutely. So the thing is, hey, while it's here, you got to make the best of it.
Absolutely.
And again, the day's getting short and everything, but we're going to make the best of it. So we'll just start out a couple pictures here to kind of introduce today's topic. And obviously the whole thing here today are the colors of fall.
Absolutely.
As you can see, this is in Peggy's backyard, but it just kind of gives you an idea of the range of colors that are out there. I mean, everything just looks so vibrant right now, and I love watching the change of seasons. And we're so fortunate where we live that we get to experience this, because there are a lot of parts of the country in the world where they don't really get this dramatic color. And of course, people are traveling here, like you said, driving on Skyline Drive, or if you don't have time, just turn your backyard into something like this to enjoy.
So today we're going to help you do that. And I think we've got one more shot, don't we? Oh, not of the fall color, but we've got one more picture to show.
Yeah, we do. It is fall color.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're going to show you all the best plants.
Not necessarily
to use.
plants, but what comes from the plants.
Exactly. There's a lot of different ways that you can bring that fall color. And of course, you know, we think of the harvest season and those colors that come into it. So, yes, today we are talking about the trees and shrubs to bring the fall color in, but don't stop right there. I mean, the pumpkins and gourds are spectacular that's in there, the late summer blooms, and we are loaded up with fall color at all of our garden centers.
It's wonderful. We were just talking before the show. We just got a shipment of beautiful mums in at Fair Oaks, and you know, they are just bursting with color, just beautiful.
And I promised somebody at the store I'd remind you, even though the bulbs don't bloom till spring, you need to be buying your bulbs right now. So we've got everything. Even though we're talking fall color, don't forget about spring.
That's right. That's right. And of course, later on in the show, we'll take your phone calls, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Before we get started, just want to let you know what was happening at Merrifield Garden Center this weekend and the next couple of weekends, because we've got a lot going on as always. First of all, our seminars, of course, are going on. And this week, we've got 3 great ones at our Merrifield location, actually at the Merrifield Community Hall, which is right next door to our Merrifield location. Michael Fay is going to be talking about evergreens, which are, you know, the staples of the garden. So make sure you take advantage of this. Again, he's got great information, and then there's time for questions. So that's at 10 a.m. at the Merrifield Community Hall right next to our Merrifield location. At Fair Oaks, we have something for the kids. It's called Just for Kids, and this is ages 6 to 12. Now, our 10 o'clock, where normally all of our seminars are at 10 o'clock, we had asked you to sign up on our website because it's a project. They're actually making something, and it filled up. So we opened an 11:30 class. So if you want to come by at 11:30 today, there's still room for some more kids to enjoy that, and it's a lot of fun. They're actually going to bring home a planted pumpkin, which is cute.
Yeah, I've seen Regina's been working up there, so it's going to be a lot of fun there. And this again is trying to get kids connected to the natural world and be aware of the environment and everything, as well as where we all have to live.
They're learning something, but they're having fun as well, so that's great. And that's at 11:30. Okay, at our Gainesville location, back to 10 a.m., Renata is going to be talking about walks, walls, and patios. So if you're thinking about adding a hardscape to your landscape, this is a perfect seminar for you. So that's at our Gainesville location at the intersection of near Ballsford and Wellington Road. So again, take advantage of those today. Next week, we've got 3 more great seminars, and next week will actually be our last week of fall seminars. Then we'll go on in the middle of November and the 1st of December with some decorating, but fall is next week. And what we will have is how to create Let's create a garden to love for many years to come. I couldn't fit all that on the screen, but create a garden to love for years to come. And at Fair Oaks, we will have layered gardening with David Culp, and Gainesville Pruning Made Easy. But I want to make mention of the layered gardening one, because that is going to be quite a good seminar. David Culp will actually be here on the show with us next week too. But we wanted to bring over what he's going to be talking about layered gardening, but he's come out with this beautiful new book, and he's going to have that with him. He'll be autographing copies of it, but it's the pictures in here are fantastic. So hope you'll take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I think that's a brand new release and everything. So yeah, that should be a real special event. Now all the classes are great. It's hard to make the choice, but this will be a kind of a unique opportunity to come and get a signed copy of his new book. Right.
And he, as I said, he will be on the show next week as well. So, okay, what other seminars? The Fall Festival. Fall Festival continues this weekend and next weekend, Saturdays and Sundays, and that's at our Gainesville location. So we do hope you will stop by and enjoy that. Lots of fun for the whole family. There's hay rides, there's pumpkin painting, face painting, moon bounce, a lot of things for the kids, but a lot of enjoyment for the adults as well. And I'm going to let you talk about what's really exciting happening next week.
Exactly. The big special event, the culmination of the Fall Festival weekends is the dog Halloween costume contest.
That's right.
And while it's the whole thing is just loads of fun, but really it's doing the dog Halloween costume contest become kind of a tradition for me. I'm one of the judges on the panel, and you saw back there little Elvis, and here we've got Tinkerbell. You know, and I love it when both the owners and the pets really get into it as well. Fun. Of course, if your dog does tricks, doing tricks is always a big plus out there. So here we're getting a little
trying to impress the judges. Okay, I gotcha.
And then if you're just plain adorable, cute, that's it. So we give awards in different categories, from being scariest to funniest to cutest and everything. That's just a small sample of some of the pets that were out there last year, and it's always great each year to come out and see. It's just amazing how creative people are. And even if you don't have a dog, I'm dead serious, there are people who do this. They just come out to enjoy the whole event. And that's really true. I mean, so bring your pets. I think you just come out and do your registration
registration's
that morning.
At noon, and the contest, the judging starts at 1. And there's a little parade. They parade the dogs around. So Karen does a great job. Karen and Michelle put this all together, and it's just so much fun.
And we've got gift cards, Merrifield gift cards for the big winners.
And if you're looking for something a little different, we're also doing that same day our pumpkin carving contest. Now, you need to carve your pumpkins ahead of time. We're not going to be carving them there. But I think the registration is at 6 and the judging is at 7. On that day, I think those times are correct, on that day, because that way you can see them lit up. We did it earlier in the day last year, and it was like, oh, they're not the same effect until they're lit up. So that's fun. So great contest, great prizes, great fun. Well, we've got a lot to get to this edition of Merrifield's Gardening Advisor. So we're going to take a quick break and come right back with lots of great ideas. Hi everybody, welcome back. We're talking about fall color in your garden, the colors of fall, and it's just such a spectacular time of year, and there's so many choices out there. So we've got some great ideas for you.
Great, so we're just going to start out with a picture from the garden center out our Fair Oaks location. And like you said, there's color every place that's out there, but we're focusing predominantly on the trees and shrubs, because of course it's just so dramatic right now as the days get shorter. There's less photosynthesis, less chlorophyll that's being produced, and then the other pigments start to come out enhanced, and you get these really spectacular colors. And the burning bush in there is well known, and a favorite to everybody's, because it just looks like it's on fire with that just crimson red colors that are showing up right now. And the burning bush, of course, it's tough as nails, grows in full sun. Yeah, it's durable. You've seen it growing on median strips and highways and everything. So it's a plant that once it gets established really just tolerates lots of neglect. So a lot of people will use this kind of into the rear of their border, or if they're trying to create a little bit of a definition between them and the neighbors. And after it goes through a good long season of that bright red color, and then the leaves shed off of there. So it's not evergreen or anything like that, but a very useful plant. Now, right in front of it, you can see it's still green, taking a little bit of a yellow color, but that is beautyberry in the front. And what you look is, it almost looks like little white flowers around there are actually the berries that are on there. So there's a lot of different ways of getting fall color. The emphasis is on the foliage, but also berries go into it. Again, beautyberry is one that's just tough as nails and durable. It really has no pest problems. It doesn't require any kind of maintenance, other than it can get kind of big and sprawly. It's nice here. It's been planted in an area where it allows it to get big and sprawly, so then it really becomes very maintenance free.
Great.
So the leaves will shed off of there. They go kind of yellow, and then you're left with nice white berries on there. And then the next picture we're going to see what's called the purple beautyberry. These are plants, all of these, the euonymus, the beautyberries, they're kind of nondescript and plain through most of the season, just sort of a drab olive green shrub without a whole lot of form or distinction to it. But of course, we're always talking about planting for all seasons of the year, and so these are the ones that really move out to the center stage. You kind of ignore them through most of the year, and then now you almost got to stop your car and pull over and see what that is. So you get that real dramatic kind of color there going on with the berries. So I thought, hey, while we're talking about berries, another one that's going to draw a lot of attention there is that snowberry. Now, snowberry, it's been around for a long time, but they've been working on different hybrids, and this is the first year I remember we've had these available with these really, really huge white berries showing
Those
them
berries are
there.
spectacular.
Yeah. Now, this is a variety. It's called Bright Fantasy. The berries on there are almost the size of a cluster of grapes, which makes them so dramatic. This, I was talking with one of my colleagues that work, talking with Meryl, and she used the word nearly native. I think that's good.
Okay.
Meaning that this is a hybrid, but it's a hybrid. Its parents are native plants, and then between the hybridization of the different native plants, this was developed for the particularly large showy berry in that. So again, this is a plant that's tough, it's durable, it's going to grow about 5 feet tall, maybe 5 feet wide, really doesn't require a lot of maintenance, doesn't draw a lot of attention in the landscape, but this time of year, again, those big white berries just jump out and grab you.
They do jump out at you.
And a good source for wildlife food as well. So while we're talking berries, I thought, you know, I had to grab a blueberry. Now, blueberries don't really have any berries on them right now at this time of year.
And they don't look particularly blue either.
No, they don't. But, you know, it kind of went with my berry theme and my fall color theme, because as you can see, they really start getting this brilliant red coloration that goes in on there. So that's a great plant that's going to give you back to the fall color. So the berries, of course, are happening in around June time period. They've all been eaten. But what a nice plant to have in the landscape, because not only are you getting the fruit from it in the summertime, but really spectacular fall coloration that can go on. So that's the couple ideas are there. Now, a couple others that I brought in to show you. Viburnums. Again, viburnum is a plant that's really tough to beat in the landscape for being durable and easy to grow. Now, one you're looking at there, that's Winterthur viburnum. It gets the berries on there as well. So you can get an idea of the size and shape of the plant. We're probably, you know, what, about 6 feet tall and 4 feet wide that's in there. Nice, clean looking plant. It gets those distinctive kind of pink and blue berries sort of interspersed with it. And also in the upper corner, I start to try to show where you get really nice fall color showing up on it. Now, I brought a couple other viburnums into the studio with me to show. Just really what a great diverse group of plants this is. Many of the viburnums get the berries on it. They all get nice flower colors on it. And of course, then I brought some in here to give us some really brilliant fall coloration.
Get a shot of that real quick.
Yeah. So I brought
There we
in
go.
with me these two different ones with that bright red color. That's a native viburnum. Again, this is called Viburnum prunifolium, or sometimes called black haw or possum haw. The berries on this one are kind of purple. They're not very showy. But again, it's a nice white flower out in spring, and then they're going this brilliant red coloration in there. This can actually be trained as to a large shrub or even a small tree. Great native plant for the landscape. And right next to it is a new viburnum, or at least it's new to me, and I think it's the first time we've had this in the landscape. It's just beginning to get its fall coloration in it. This is a viburnum. I'm not even sure how to pronounce the name. It's that new to me. I'm calling it, it's either Riefler's dwarf or Reifler's dwarf. I'm not sure how we pronounce it. It's named after somebody apparently.
Right.
But it gets its name because it's very compact. It's going to stay about 4 feet, maybe 5 feet tall, 5 feet wide. As you know, a lot of viburnums can get quite large. This one's dense, it's bushy, it gets some nice flowers, little white with tinge of pink flowers on the springtime, and then the lustrous green leaves will start taking on a tinge of red in fall. It's classified as semi-evergreen, so probably further south in warmer climates it might even hold on to some foliage, but this far north I expect it to shed all of its leaves. So again, these are just some new plants that you can add to the landscape, and we're always out there looking for new things, trying to bring new things into the garden center.
Do we have one more picture to show?
We do.
Here? Okay.
And one last one, since I want to kind of wrap up my whole sort of berry theme, even though we've been bouncing back and forth, is serviceberry. Again, this is a nice native tree, and we're talking about 4 seasons of color, so I tried to put in there where you see the white flowers occur in early spring, like 1st of April. The berries that you can see in the small inset occur in June, so they're long gone. They've been eaten by the birds and everything, but they also will take on just brilliant fall coloration that's there. So this is a tree, again, that gives you lots of interest through the whole season, but also right now it fits into our discussion because you'll see beautiful tones of sort of golden to deep burgundies, just really nice fall coloration that could come out in this. Medium-sized tree, it's going to mature at about 20-25 feet tall.
Well, it's nice to see the different stages of it and how different it looks each time of the year.
Yeah, and that's what I love about the changing seasons.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Be right back. We're back and we've got some more native trees for fall color to share with you.
Yeah, we are so fortunate where we have all these beautiful, spectacular plants around. I just sort of ended up kind of on this native theme because a lot of things we've talked about, the blueberries, the snowberries, the viburnums, these are all native plants. They're well adapted to our environment, great additions to landscapes, supporting the local wildlife community, and of course the dogwood fits right in there with that conversation because, again, it's our state tree.
Right.
You know, you'll see them blooming all over the place, and they're absolutely gorgeous trees for their spring blooms, but their fall color is really dramatic as well. So that's the next picture, saying that if this picture was taken in April, our next one is what it's going to look like if you were out there right now today. So again, you can see the dogwood there in its natural environment, kind of as the understory, the big hickory behind it, which is that golden yellow. And you know, hickory trees, they don't transplant well, they just don't fit in the nursery production so well. But isn't that great color contrast
beautiful.
there? But that's just Mother Nature put that combination together. So we're so fortunate to have these native trees that are out there. And so I just like to put the plug in there for them because they do provide us that year-round beauty and year-round interest. And you can see the dogwoods taking on the red color, the bright red berries, which provide a food source for so many birds. And that's a lot of what we talk about. Our landscapes is not just for our enjoyment, but also support a healthy environment and the wildlife that's depends so much on them through the winter months. So that was dogwood. So we had earlier talked about serviceberry, dogwood, and then of course the redbud is another phenomenal native tree.
I love redbuds.
Great understory plant. Again, this picture was taken in April, but the next picture was taken in October. And I just keep putting these in here because we always think of them for their spring blooms, which are fantastic. These are trees that give us so much interest throughout the year. There's been a ridiculous amount of selection going on with redbuds, and so you've got so many now to choose from that have different leaf colors into them, anywhere from sort of a deep purple to variegated to golden yellow. There's one called Rising Sun that kind of has yellow, chartreuse, orange in the leaf color, but then they all give us a very nice kind of lemon yellow coloration in fall.
I've just never understood why they're called redbud. You know?
Well, they're actually working on some red flowered varieties, but we're not there yet. Yeah, they all kind of have that pink magenta color to it. So I agree. I don't know where the names come from, but they're great additions. And this is like an ideal time to be planting also. So sometimes people worry, oh, you know, because the winter's coming. Well, this is a great time to be planting them, because as they go into the winter time with the dormancy, there's less pressure on them for the watering. They have an opportunity to get their roots developed and established. Roots keep growing into January. They grow, they live outside year round. So take advantage of it. And you see, if you get inspired by any of this stuff, then come down and buy it today. So those were a couple trees. Let's see what's coming up next, because I know I had several other native trees to put in there. Red maple. I thought this was kind of interesting. You can see there red maple showing 3 different colors. These are all the same tree species. And the background, the yellow one, the red one, and then the foreground, the orange, all the same tree. But you can see the variation that goes on in the leaf color. So a lot of times, I've been using this word native plants. This is what would happen in a natural environment where you get a lot of variation in color. But what happens is the growers, the plant breeders, they start selecting particular cultivars or varieties that they pick for a specific purpose. So we can go in here, and if we want a maple tree that's going to consistently give us a deep red color, they'll take that one, clone it, and give it a name. So the next picture shows one that's called Red Sunset, I think, or is that October Glory? Both Red Sunset and October Glory are real popular varieties, have been selected for a consistent red coloration. So if you want the impact, the visual impact of that bright, consistent color, then you need to get a named variety to assure you of that. Otherwise, you can get all different ranges of color that go on in there. So the red maple is our most dominant native maple species. But we do also live in the range for the sugar maple. Now, sugar maple is it's a northern tree. It comes down. We hit here in Virginia, Maryland, sort of the southernmost limit on it. It tends to get more of these overlapping colors of this bright orange, and sometimes on that tree this time of year you'll sometimes see sort of a little bit of a green, yellow, going to orange. I mean, it's probably, in my opinion, one of the best for dramatic fall color.
And this picture is actually taken at my house, and
several years ago.
Yes, well, and I love this tree, because the interesting thing is it kind of, as you're looking out at the window at it, the left side tends to turn first, and then the right side turns.
And that's one of the things I have to agree with you. I love about the sugar maple, because you do get that kind of kaleidoscope of colors, whereas like the red maple, you get all that one big red color. And
it's beautiful.
You just hope you have enough room. Maybe you can plant them all.
I know.
Yeah. But again, so we select varieties of cultivars there, like Green Mountain is our most popular one, because Green Mountain gives us good heat and drought tolerance in the summer, spectacular color in the fall. And then another fantastic native tree for the landscapes. This is black gum that you see growing beside the pond. This is a big mature one. They're not the fastest growing tree, so it takes, like the one you're looking at there is probably 30, 40 years old to get to that size. But so they work well in suburban kind of landscapes. And it's one that gives you some of the early color and very bright, deep red color, all the way to that kind of flaming orange that's in there. So great durable tree. You can see it growing along the sides. Its native environment, it tolerates our dense, compacted, poorly drained soils well. And again, now we have some varieties like Wildfire or Red Rage, which have been selected for specifically consistent coloration in the fall.
Great. Well, we've shown you some great native trees over here, but David's going to, when we come back, David's going to be at our virtual garden and show you some that are native to other places.
Well, Well, thank you for joining us at Merrifield's Gardening Advisor this morning. We're just celebrating all the beautiful color that's out there right now at this time of year. Now, what happened, we were talking about several native trees and the beauty that we have around here, but they're beautiful trees from all parts of the world. So just like we had earlier talked about our native dogwood, this is the Kusa dogwood. It's an Asian species. It's native to parts of China, Korea, Japan, and you can see it flowers, but later in the season than our native does. It gets berries, but they're just big and kind of like the size of a grape then as compared to our native dogwood. But the fall coloration can be spectacular on them as well. They'll get this sort of deep burgundy red color that goes in there. Now, a lot of times people like using some of these exotic plants like this Kusa dogwood because it will tolerate warmer, sunnier conditions. So like our native dogwood that naturally grows in an eastern hardwood forest under the canopy of other trees, but maybe you've got an area that's sunnier and hotter that's not as well suited, so you might want to consider something like the Kusa dogwood, and you still get all the beautiful attributes, just a little different season, a little different time of year that's out there. So that's the Kusa dogwood. And then the next tree that we want to take a look at is, what's this? The Japanese maple, right? We were talking a lot about the red maples and sugar maples and some of those that are native to this part of the world. But again, native to parts of Korea and Japan and China are the Japanese maples. They're grown a lot of times because they have this very delicate, interesting foliage patterns in there, kind of a nice, loose, open, airy sort of form. But again, you can get some really nice fall coloration that goes in there. Again, just like our native red maple, you can get variation in colors from yellows to red. You can get that same coloration happening with Japanese maples. So these do best, I think, where they are sheltered a little bit from the very hot, intense afternoon sun. So to me, the ideal environment is where maybe they get a good morning sun or a lot of really bright but just slightly filtered light through another canopy of trees, and they'll give you, again, interest throughout the entire year with nice form, different leaf colors, and then also looking spectacular right now. So those are dogwoods and maples from other parts of the world. And then we'll just kind of continue with our tour looking at trees from around the world. Now ginkgo. Ginkgo is one that it's a big tree, so it needs room to grow. They'll grow easily, 60, 70 feet tall. That's out there. Really interesting leaf on there. That's we're trying to put this detail on here, the leaf. That you can see a nice distinctive shape to that one. But again, the thing that really gets your attention with ginkgo is at this time of year. Fall color, they can go to this bright yellow type of color. They do well as far as tolerating harsh urban environments. Took this picture down outside of Atlanta at the Botanic Gardens there, kind of show how it worked into an urban setting. So I've seen these even in parking lot environments. It's got an interesting history. It's a tree that was thought to be extinct. We knew it existed because there were fossil records of it, but nobody had actually seen, or most of the world had not seen a living example of it, till they did find at one monastery in China where a grove of these had persisted, and so the tree was later rediscovered. So again, it's got a lot of interest in it, both in its history as well as its leaf, and then really looking nice at this time of year. So that was ginkgo. And what's coming up next? I forgot what pictures I put in here. Perodia. Perodia is parts what's now Iran, or parts what was Persia, now in the northern parts of Iran. Perodia is kind of, I'm going to call it tree, small tree, large shrub. You can see it has this multi-stemmed kind of growth habit to it. The flowers on it are very small. If you get up close and personal with them, they're interesting when you see it in bloom. It's got a nice sort of blue-green leaf color during the summertime, but again, fall is when it takes sort of center stage. And this is in the hazel family, which is really the lead-in to one of my favorite families of plants because they look beautiful at my favorite time of year. So this is the Perodia, and our next one we're looking at in the same family is Fothergilla. You can see in the background. It's also a member of the hazel family. And what happens to these, they all have kind of interesting flowers in the springtime, that nice blue-green look in the summer, but then in the fall, beautiful. And it's partnered here with the Amsonia that's got that bright, vibrant yellow color. coming up soon, and then also what's called Chrysanthemum pacificum, which blooms very late in the season. So these are all combined to be really brilliant color. Now, Fothergilla happens to be native to the U.S., an East Coast native, so you're talking about back to a native plant. But I guess I'm shifting a little bit to shrubs also to show you can get beautiful color, not just with trees, but also in the shrub department. And a couple more we want to look at. So that is the that was Fothergilla. Now this is witch hazel. Again, it's in that same family, so you can see you get these brilliant colorations. I mean, really, really distinctive colors going on the leaves. I planted one in my front yard. I took this picture just about 2-3 days ago, and I'm telling you, I'm just in love with this plant. I'm so happy I found a space to do it. Actually, it's my neighbor's yard, but I kind of take over their property as well since I'm running out of room. So then the Asian species of witch hazel, hybridized them together to give us larger blooms and kind of more dramatic color in there. This happens to be a variety. It's called Arnold's Promise, but there's many really great ones to choose from. And we'll kind of keep going through the list here and go through a couple others real quickly. What's coming up next? Itea. Again, this is a great example of using native plants in our landscape. We've got the dogwood in the background, our native Cornus florida, and then Itea virginica, native shrub in there. Itea is at full peak color right now, and again, they get this very deep burgundy, sort of a garnet color to it. They do well in sometimes slightly poorly drained areas where you might have a little bit of a moisture problem that's in there. There's some different varieties, some small ones that will stay probably at about 3 to 4 feet tall, up to some larger ones that will grow maybe 6 feet tall. Nice blooms and white flowers in May. So again, it's a plant that's going to give you lots of seasonal interest. So I'm just going to keep running through the list. And there's so many of them, it was kind of hard to pare it down. You've got to love hydrangeas, the oak leaf hydrangea, again another native to southeastern parts of the United States, showing it in bloom, and then it's also grown because it gets that really nice looking flower that's on there, and then of course great fall color. I'm going to hit a couple others super quick. Now many of these you know, but I just think they get undervalued or under-recognized for the fall coloration. Crepe myrtle, which is used in every color under the sun, and next to it is the smoke tree. So this is a summer picture, and then I'm going to finish up a couple fall pictures. These same plants, this is the crepe myrtle in fall. Again, people just not fully recognizing how beautiful they can be at this time of year. And then the smoke tree, again, really, it's used for its summer interests as its primary value, but let's take a look at what happens to it right now. So this, again, you can see was taken out our garden center. That's the smoke tree doing its fall thing. Okay, and let's go back to Debbie.
Thanks, David. Well, he's given you lots of great ideas, and so I'm sure you've got some questions. So when we come back from this break, we'd love to talk to you and take your phone call. So 703-387-1046. So get dialing. We'll be right back. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We're talking about all kinds of trees here in the break and having a good time. So it's time for your phone call, 703-387-1046. We do have a caller on the line already, I believe. Iva, who's calling from Silver Springs. Are you there, Iva?
Yes, I am.
Hi, how are you?
Good morning.
Fine, thank you.
Good. What can we do for you today?
My question is about after a storm, my grape arbor was crushed by the tree that fell, and it stayed there for a while before some of the vines are growing on the ground, and they're still attached to the part of the arbor, but they're growing in the walk and in the garden area where I have the vegetable.
Right.
Now that it's clear and I can finally do something about it, I would like to pull them up and fix that area. What can I do about that? Can I do it now?
Okay. Well, the best time to be pruning, because I'm kind of guessing, it sounds like this is a tangled up mess. You may have to get in there and kind of do some aggressive pruning on. The grapes are typically pruned after they shed their leaves. So, I mean,
I was afraid you say that.
But I mean, that could be like almost any day now, because they're in the process probably of shedding their leaves. But what will happen is, you're going to have to do some pruning, kind of pull them off the trellis, rebuild the trellis, and do all that. And when you prune them, that is going to reduce your production of grapes. If you're growing this for fruit, you may not get as much fruit. Well, you definitely won't get as much fruit this year, but that's basically I have to do it. The vines are tough, they're durable, they can be salvaged. I would probably, if you can put that project off a couple weeks after they've shed their leaves, that would be better.
Couple of weeks.
Right. I mean, just when you use your judgment, when the leaves are starting to drop and come off of there, that would be a better time to do it.
Okay. 1 second question about weeds in the compost pile.
Right.
Can I put grass and weeds and seeds in the compost pile?
Well, kind of a yes and no answer. If you're really doing a good job of composting, I mean, if you're paying attention to it and managing it, your compost pile will get well over 100 degrees, and it does get hot enough. The heat builds up in there enough that it will kill the weed seeds. Reality, though, most gardeners I know are really not managing it properly, and they're not getting the high temperatures, in which case the weed seeds persist. So either get yourself like a compost thermometer, put the time and effort into managing it, which means turning it, being careful you have the proper mix of materials in there, monitoring the temperature and moisture, getting it up there to like 110, 115 degrees, or make sure if you're not going to do it that, you're going to kind of do it just sort of, you know, put it out there and see what happens sort of method, then you probably want to be careful where you use that compost, because the weed seeds will persist.
I was afraid of that.
Right.
I have 2 piles, and one I do have seed in it. So I'm wondering if I should put it in the garden or just let it stay there a little longer.
If you put it in the garden, you're just making more work for yourself. I did that for years. I would compost my stuff, I'd throw it in the garden, and then I'd have to dig the weeds, put it back in, and I realized, no, I'm going to use that compost in kind of low management areas where the weeds won't be an issue. So you'll need to find something else to do with that.
Okay, thank you.
Have a great
Okay,
weekend.
thanks.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Okay, let's see. Colleen is calling from Kensington. Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
Good,
doing just great.
thanks.
I just wanted to say that I really enjoy your show.
Oh, well, thank you.
Okay. I have a question about an Arnold Promise with hazel.
Right.
It's about 4 years old, and it's about 4 feet tall, and it's shaped as like a vase-shaped growing. Last spring, when it started to bud out, half of it, the branch, has died. Now, it is on a hill, and it does get a lot of water when we get heavy rains. And I'm just wondering why that one portion of the tree had just died out.
It's a little hard to say, because they're generally quite reliable plants. You know, we don't really see many diseases occur on them. Now, there's kind of a new disease problem that's out there. It's a canker that affects plants that are in the filbert family. But that's pretty distinctive. If you look on the branch, it makes these very distinctive kind of warty looking growths and everything. So I mean, it's possible that it's a disease problem. Beyond that, I don't know. I'd be taking a close look. Right, there's no storm damage. It's not broken or injured in any way.
No, just when, last spring, when I started to see it to leaf out, half of it, the branches was dead, and the other half was alive. If it's a disease, you say a canker disease, the leaves curl?
Yeah, and well, that's one of the reasons I bring it up is because when I say canker, that's a localized infection. I always say, so like if I'm your tree here with my hands, this branch gets infected and it dies, but this one continues to remain healthy and out there. So the way you're describing it, where it's just one branch or one side of it, it sounds like it could be a canker. And the only way you can manage that is to prune out that branch. So there's no treatment, no sprays or anything like that. So I don't know if that's exactly what it is. It's the only thing that might make some sense. And I think you're just going to have to prune that out and then, sort of reconstruct the tree over time.
Okay, I did prune out the dead branch, but now I have like a lopsided tree. Now, in the spring, after it blooms, should I cut it, top it off so it will branch out on the other side that had died?
That's basically the right idea. I mean, I don't like using the word topping it off. It may even take 2 or 3 years to kind of reconstruct it. If you're ever able to bring pictures in, we might be able to give you a little better guidance on pruning it. But yes, I mean, the point is you're going to kind of have to do some reconstruction by pruning, and it'll take a little time to get that shape and structure back to it.
Okay. Colleen, thanks so much for your call. We're going to have to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more of your phone calls. Everybody, welcome back. Just wanted to remind you we're working on getting all of our shows and the outlines on our website. So we talked about a lot of trees today, so hopefully in the next day or two that will be up, and the outline will be up, so you'll be able to have a good reference.
Exactly. I know we went through a lot of stuff today quickly.
Right. Yeah. Okay, let's get right back to our callers. Robin is calling from Catlett, Virginia. Sorry, Robin, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. What can we do for you?
Well, I have 2 questions now concerning maple trees. I have several old trees in the landscape, both silver maple, sugar maple, and red maple. The root system works to the surface as they get older and larger. Can you recommend something? It's very difficult to mow or trim around the base of those trees, and I'm worried about damage to the root system.
Yeah. Well, basically, it's one of the reasons I don't talk about things like Norway maple and sugar maple, which are the 2 that are most notorious for that surface rooting. If there's a tree that I know has problems, I just don't talk about it. So a lot of it has to do with the selection. The red maples and sugar maples, that can happen, but it's less likely. In the situation, I mean, that you're with now, where you already have the surface roots, your choices come down to basically either forming a big mulch bed around those so that you just don't need to go mowing into it, or if you want to reestablish some grass, you can bring a little bit of loose topsoil in. Always cautious. I don't like to put dirt over the root system of trees because it can adversely impact them. But if we're talking about just enough topsoil to sort of cover the roots, so that you can reestablish some grass in that area, that might be something to consider also. Otherwise, this is just going to be a persistent problem. That's one of the reasons we just don't even sell silver maples anymore. And like I said, Norway's the other one I'd be careful with on that.
All right, thank you for that. The second question that generated as a result of listening to another caller, again with maple trees, I've had sectional die-off on some of the sugar maple trees where they've denuded the limbs, and then the limbs become very, very brittle. I've pruned what has come up dead in the tree. I've had an arborist look at them, but we can't find any visible sign of pests or disease or outward sores on these trees. And again, once they seem to be pruned, they seem to recover, but they're still sporadically picking up this deadening of the tree. Yeah. Any ideas on that? Is it canker, like you mentioned with the prior caller?
It could be. I know there's a lot of things that can cause that. I mean, I still believe very much in maples. It could be a disease, something like they'll get verticillium wilt, which is a disease that gets into their vascular tissue and cause branch dieback. We say canker, that's a generic term, but it's basically caused mostly by fungal organisms. The other is, a lot of times, it's just environmental stress. And when I say this, if you have a tree that's out there and we go through where we've had years where it's been very dry, that can put a lot of stress on them. If they're an area where the root zone's compacted, or constricted around, that can put it. Most of the time, let me say, because 75% of the problems that I see with plants have nothing to do with insect or disease. They're because of environmental stress, cultural stresses, the growing conditions that they're in. It's only about 25% of the time I see it as pest problems. So all I can say is, having a reputable arborist come out to look at it, it sounds like you're doing that, might be really the best course of action for you.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so very much. It was excellent information. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for calling.
Too. Bye.
Okay, let's get to Linda quickly, who's calling from Springfield. Don't have a whole lot of time left, Linda. Do you have a quick question?
Yep.
It's reasonably quick.
Okay.
Okay, let's try.
I have extremely old hydrangea. It's at least 32 years old because I've been here that long. I need to transplant it. It's now in shade. When am I supposed to do that?
Okay. First of all, I guess you have to do it because I don't really like transplanting something that's 32 years old in that same space. That's going to put some stress on it. Now, is this the one that has like the pink or blue flowers on it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, the best time to transplant that would probably be like in February or March. Just get as much of the root system as you possibly can with it. You know, put it into its new home in a soil that's moist but reasonably well drained, lots of compost in there, and recognize it is now a new plant. Even though it's 32 years old, for you it's a new beginning, and you're going to have to pay close attention to the watering and give it some tender loving care to get it reestablished.
Terrific. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you
good luck
so
with
much.
it.
That was quick. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Well, we have run out of time. A lot of great information today. So thank you so much. Again, go to the website. And you can see the listing. You'll be able to see the show in the next couple of days. Next week, as we mentioned, David Culp is going to be here, and he's going to be talking about layered gardening for a four-season garden. Hope you'll enjoy the seminars at our all three locations today, and take advantage of the Fall Festival. Have a great week. Bye-bye.